Happy New Year 2025. We all the way live, and we are here on the Replay Sports Show where we're still trying to make your day. We're about to talk about these college football playoffs. So get ready, y'all. Let's ride. Welcome to another edition of the Replay where we're still trying to make your day. I'm your host, the real deal Jabril, and this is our sports channel right here, the Replay. And I want to, welcome everyone that's coming in. But let me bring my guy to the stage who's been joining me, man, week in and week out, man. None other than my guy, the real deal, Mr. True Blue in the house. True Blue 82, how you doing, my brother? Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, brother. Who you rooting for, huh?
Who you rooting for, man? Well, we
Yes,
got
sir.
to find out who exactly we're rooting for because a lot's been going on in these college football playoffs, as well as in the NFL, as we coming down to the last week, week 17. Some say 18 weeks because you do get the bye. So we'll talk about that briefly. But right now, man, we got a handful of these college football playoffs, and I don't know how many games that you've been watching, Blue, but I've watched quite a bit, man. I'm gonna tell you like this. I hate to be the team that had the bye week because none of them won. But what do you think about it, man? What are you seeing from these college football playoffs? And tell me, what you're thinking, how you like it so far.
Okay, dig this though. The layoff too long, man. 2.5 weeks. That's a bit much, man. Especially man, these young kids, man, they ready to go. That engine already riled up. See, they got to crank it up and start over again. You dig what I'm saying?
Right.
I like Texas. I like football, man. You dig what I'm saying? Right. But what I saw yesterday, I'm not gonna point no fingers, but I'm kind of disappointed in some of the calls that was made, man. With Texas, again, man, no disrespect to this thing, man. That to me, that was when he hit him in the head.
Oh, you talking about Taffy, the safety from the Longhorns, Texas Longhorns. You thought that was
man
head?
What you think about that? That was the outcome.
Yeah, man.
I'm from listen, man.
I guess the rule is the rule. It should have called it. And then I know it was a big play in the game, determined the game. But man, I'm so biased because that's the way we used to hit, man. I hate to see that.
They don't hit. They don't tackle like that no more.
I know, man.
That's why to us they should have called the flag. But old school players like us, man, they keep on going. They wasn't nothing but a tackler. They keep Ricky Dixon, for example.
Right.
Come on, man. They to me, and then they called the timeout and they went to the review the camera. It didn't take all that yesterday, man. But again, Texas done made a phone call. They put a call in, man. And then I'm telling you what I like though. It was a good game. I thought Texas was gonna blow them out. But listen, man, this is my first time seeing Arizona State play. Say that running back number 4.
Yeah, Scotterbo.
Oh,
Yeah, Scotterbo.
Man.
Yeah. I seen him play earlier, man, and I saw him a little bit last year, but I definitely remember him this year, man. He's a hard runner.
He's a football player, man. He hungry, man. Let me tell you something. I was real impressed him as a running back, but he catch that thing out the backfield, man. And then he a hard-nosed football player. You know what I'm saying? He just not scat back. Say, man, he got tough yardage, man. And look how good Texas defense is. So I don't take nothing from nobody. I just like good football, man. Don't let the referees decide the game. And to me, they decided that listen again, man. I'm not gonna point no finger, but don't make that call, man. Let the players decide who's gonna take home that trophy, man.
Well, if they'd have made that call, that again, that was a big call during a very critical part of the game when they didn't call that face to face. So if they would have called that, Texas probably would have lost that game.
Okay, but let me tell you who I'm gonna tell you. Listen, man. Again, I'm old school, and no disrespect to this thing. The field goal kicker. Say, man, you missed 2 field goals.
Yeah.
Get it. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well,
Hey,
let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this about Sarkeesian, because they always had this thing about get away from the kicker because you're putting more into his head. He already got to focus on the kick. How did you, like the idea of Coach Sarkeesian coming up to him and
I ain't like
having,
that. I ain't
yeah,
listen,
I
man.
didn't
Leave
either.
him alone. I ain't like that neither.
Yeah, I didn't
You
like
done
that either.
came up and put your hand across this dude. That ain't nothing but adding pressure, man.
Right.
Well,
Right.
I mean, if you real about this thing, you can talk to anybody. But when you come up there as a head coach, you single him out, all eyes on you already. That's added pressure, and look what it did to him.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
I
let me tell you
agree.
something. Let me tell you something though. One from say you couldn't even came back to the bus. You had to find you another way home. There is no way you could have missed it. You couldn't, not both of them, not
Right.
that last one.
Right.
You should have made that last. But listen, man. Again, they just kids, man. Look how much pressure is put on these young kids, man, to make money for the university.
Right.
That's all I'm
Right.
saying, man. But
Right.
I like what Texas got to offer. Now, you let me know if you want to talk about this other football, because I want to talk about Oregon.
Right. You want to? Well, we're gonna get into Oregon in just a second, because I'm still thinking about this Texas and who they got coming up with this matchup with Ohio State. Because Ohio State right now seems to be, along with Notre Dame, with what they did today too, and we'll get into that in just a second. But Ohio
Yeah,
State is really playing some lights out football, as well as Penn State. But if I had to look at the team right now that played the stiffest competition, I would have to go with Ohio State.
yes, sir. Yeah.
You know what I'm
And then,
saying? But that's gonna be one heck of a game that's coming up in the Cotton Bowl.
yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest with you. You know what? If I had to pick a winner between that game right now, as much as all the odds would say Ohio State,
That's what
but
I'm
I
going with.
think, but I think Texas is gonna pull that game out because I think that game against Arizona State, and don't get me wrong, I'm not yours. I think he gained a little bit of his mojo back the way he closed that game out. And the only reason why I think Texas can win this game is because Ohio State been kind of riding a 2 or 3 game win streak ever since they lost to Michigan, in that big showdown.
Yeah.
And I just think playing in the Cotton Bowl, I think it's gonna be in Texas' favor. I don't know. I just feel that because I think Ohio State, man, they've been kind of playing high and they've been real consistent the last couple of weeks. I just think they're gonna get knocked off their horse because they should be favored coming into the game. That's just my personal opinion.
Let me tell you this though, with Texas, I was really impressed with Texas, especially in the first 3 quarters. In the fourth quarter, you see how many penalties they got? You think that was too much pressure? Look how many false starts they had. And then when you was through that last touchdown, I think that was to the tight end. I think it was 4th and 15 or 4th and
Right.
9. Come on, man.
Right. That was an NFL kind of throw, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I like that, man.
Yeah, that's why I say I think, given of course the game is going to be played in their backyard for the most part. They familiar with the Cotton Bowl, having played, OU every year annually. I just think this is a game. And another indication I get is who has been Texas's nemesis this year? Georgia. Because the only 2 losses have come against Georgia, right? So now that Georgia's been knocked out, I think that leaves that lane open. And if they can pull this game out against Ohio State, man, I got Texas winning it all. Because now we come down to the Final Four.
Well, let me tell you this, man. Again, pressure bust a pipe. And man, Texas got by prayer because they was winning and they let Arizona State get back in game. And I watched Texas march downfield, and the closer they was getting, they was started getting backed up with penalties. They had so many penalties. That's discipline, man. Discipline and fatigue what got them, and pressure. Let me tell you something, man. Who thought on 4th and 15 or 4th and y'all was gonna get that? They got a touchdown off that, and they won that.
Yeah.
Say, man, you can't do that. Arizona State is not Ohio State. Y'all pull that if you want to against Ohio State. To me, they well balanced, man, and they got speed kills. So I like Ohio State. Listen, man, I like football. Let me say it like that. Texas in the backyard, but I like football, man.
I get you. But let me ask you this, because Now let's go to this Oregon losing to
Yes.
Ohio State 41 to
Yes.
21. Let's go and talk about that game
Yes.
because again, I said coming to the game, the teams that had the bye week off seemed like, I mean, from Boise State to Oregon, to who was the other team that had to bye? Don't come to me right now. You had Boise State, Oregon. It was one other team that had to buy. They ain't coming to me right now. But
Yeah.
all of them lost.
All four of them, yeah. Everybody had to buy. All them conference champs lost.
Yeah, and you know, Oregon, although be it as it may, I mean, not taking anything away from Ohio State because they came out and not only just really, you know, outplayed them, but they out physical them. You know what I'm saying? Them boys was putting pads on Oregon.
Dominate.
Yeah, and you can't take anything away from Ohio State. But it just seemed like to me because I watched Oregon play all year long.
Yeah,
and it's like they was playing the game as if they was playing for the first time in the regular season without making any adjustments. That was really surprising to me. Of course, you know, Ohio State had, you know, coming to the game, I feel like they had something to really prove. And they wanted to be physical with Oregon because I think they looked at Oregon like this is a fast-paced team.
It is. Yeah.
Physical, jam them, get hands on them, then we can alter like what they like to do best. That's what I saw. But I don't know though, Blue, because I think, man, with Ohio State, they went through a little bit of controversy, man, after losing their final game of the regular season to Michigan, and seeing the kind of got, they was really, really ticked off, man, about that. And it was talking about firing O'Day, the head coach, and all that. But it seemed like they're trying to rally, and it's a rallying call. But I think Texas, personally, with the speed of their defense, them two boys, that young freshman, man, Collins, and that boy Eddie Hill Jr., man, say, man, Texas is nice. And you got the Jim Thorpe winner in Jahdae Barron, man. And playing in the backyard, I feel like the adversity they went through because they jumped out on Arizona State. They showed some resolve. They could have tucked their tail and withered or whatever, but they didn't. So I think that's going to bode well for them in this next game. Ohio State, on the other hand, when you dominate the way they did, I'm just simply asking the question, can they duplicate that same performance? That's going to be my question coming to the Cotton Bowl.
Let me say this to you. What I saw, again, them 2.5 weeks, man, that takes. See, if you got momentum swinging and going, and see that train been rolling, man, from Oregon. That train say, man, if you ever see a train catch a flat, call me. Right. You did what I'm saying? Check it out. Right. What they ran into the other day, they couldn't. Well, I couldn't believe it. I know they couldn't believe it. Listen, man, they quick and they fast up there in Oregon. They not physical. But boy, let me tell you what they brought to the game. Physicality, and they matched them speed for speed. And then I thought once they got down, because they ain't never been down there, then y'all got down by a lot. Now I'm looking for their quarterback. You know, he was up for the high. I'm looking. He done started all these games. I've been to all these schools. So experience is your best teacher. So you ought to be experienced enough. But listen, man, what I saw the other day, I'm not gonna make no excuses for them. They just got outplayed, man.
Yeah, they really did. We can't make definitely make no excuses. I think, in fact, I text, my little spiritual nephew, Jabbar Muhammad, playing the right corner, man. And I didn't get a chance to text him before the game because I'm telling you, if I had got in contact with him or text him before the game, the number one thing I was going to remind him of the receiver Smith. That young true freshman, 6'3", 215, he's for real. I mean, he got NFL, quality right now. And I was going to let him know, hey, man, big time players step up and make big time plays in big time games. Yeah. And this individual, I felt like when they played him the first time, they left a lot out on the field that they didn't take advantage of with his size and height. And I wanted to tell nephew, I was going to say, hey, man, listen, make sure you give yourself enough cushion in case it's a 50-50 jump ball, because see, Jabbar is only about like 5'10". This guy's 6'3". And I know they put him in the slot one time because Jabbar is their best cover guy. And I know he was physical with him in the slot, but they missed on a couple of throws in the first time around they played him. So I saw that coming into the game. I didn't get a chance to talk to him prior to, but I did text him, after the game was over to compliment him, let him know, man, you had a remarkable college career. You took risks and you kept the faith, man, starting out at Oklahoma State, then going to Washington, playing for a national championship last year, then being in the college playoffs and being ranked #1 predominantly the whole year for the most part anyway. You had a standout. Now you just got to look forward to the draft, NFL draft. But they did a couple of crossing routes against him, and he was right there knocking the ball down. But overall, the back end of Oregon defense just seemed like they was confused. He ran one time just straight down deep middle 1/3, like he ran the post. Free safety with nowhere to be found. And
you can't with a game like that. You can't have no mistakes like that. You can't have no blown coverage.
You can't.
Then look how big the wide receiver is.
Yeah, what I'm saying.
Look how aggressive he is. And he's just a baby.
Yeah. Yeah. And the actual receiver coming to this season was supposed to have been I think it's pronounced Egaboo #2, the receiver.
Yeah.
Ibuka. I think Ibuka. He was supposed to be the #1 target. But this young freshman just stepped up, man, and he got NFL prototype size. This kid can really, man, if his knowledge of the game increases, because they say he got better between the first time they met, which was early in the year, to now, because now he's starting to read coverages better, understanding what the defense is trying to do. That's why he came out with the statement, if you leave me one-on-one with anybody, he felt like in the country, he was going to outman him. And, you got to tip your hat off, man. Ohio State, they had a heck of a game plan.
They had a real game plan.
A real game plan.
Yes, sir.
I do, but again, I'll go back and say this. I do think them having played last week and Oregon with all of the holidays, however they spent their holidays or whatever, I think
too much time.
I think it's too much time in between the games, and they didn't get off to a fast start. But again, taking nothing away from Ohio State, because they did what they had to do, man. And one thing I feel like, you can be rusty a little bit, you can be off some throws or maybe off a block or two. But one thing that you shouldn't ever get dominated at, if you that dog, is pushed around, physicality. And that's what I think Ohio State did. Now, all other stuff, again, you can come in the game and have a little rust on you. But to be out physical and somebody just, I can see maybe a couple of series here or there, first quarter, whatever. But man, basically 3 quarters.
The whole game.
On, man. Come on.
And see, let me tell you this though. I like the playoff, the system, that I like that. But man, look what it do to the team that got to buy. Man, y'all just sitting up getting rusty. To me, I don't want no buy. Don't listen, man. We got momentum swinging. Let's go, man. Let's keep this thing rolling. Because Oregon, if they'd have played Oregon right after the season was over with, it'd have been a different story.
Right.
Ohio State wasn't doing nothing but building up momentum, getting their confidence together. They'll play anybody today. They ready to play some football, man. That's who I think gonna win the national championship, man.
You think Ohio State gonna win it all?
Listen, man. What I saw, say, man, they got a bunch of talent. They defense. I like their defense. That offense is a machine. But they defense,
man. Well, you know what? Let's talk about this Georgia and this earlier game, this Georgia and Notre Dame game. Because when you start talking about defense, I got to be honest with you.
Penn State,
I didn't see Notre Dame playing
Notre Dame
defense. Now I've been hearing about it because I know they played early in the year. They played Texas A&M and beat Texas A&M down in College Station. But I really was thinking that this is the same old Notre Dame. You know how they used to hype up Notre Dame and Notre Dame go into the, the bowl game and all, and they always get their hat brought to them. But this particular Notre Dame team seems as though they're there to win, man. And the number they did on Georgia, granted, they special teams was on point. We know they had Georgia had a bunch of turnovers. They didn't have a starting quarterback, Carson Beck.
But look how many players didn't play for Georgia.
Yeah, they had numerous players out,
especially
that
made a difference too.
Yeah, your quarterback having to go under he had the UCL
Yeah,
surgery
whatever
on
that
his
is.
knee,
What is? I don't know what that is.
but I'm but you know, I'm looking at Notre Dame defense. The quarterback, I think he had I think to me personally, I think he had an anomaly. I think he did a couple of scrambles and got away with it. I don't know if he's gonna be able to do that against Abdul Carter from Penn State. You know, they got him slated to go top 5.
Yeah.
So, and they got the other end. I forget his name right now. That's on the other end, opposite side of Abdul Carter. But Penn State been playing solid too, man. I can't take nothing away from Penn State. So that should be one good defensive game right there.
Man,
Although I
this
don't know, I
Final
need to get
Four,
an update.
I'm glad for the Final Four.
Yeah, I need
I'm
to get
gonna tell you, man, this is real. These Final Four, that's gonna be real interesting. But I'm telling you,
yeah, I need to get an update on Abdul Carter's injury. You know, he had an injury, didn't play the second half. I don't know if he gonna.
what?
Yeah, he I think it was something with his shoulder or arm or something, but he didn't play the late third or maybe fourth. He may even play the second half, but he was out. Yeah,
And,
so I don't
and then
know.
let me tell you this: did this throw you off? Did this throw you off guard that they should have played yesterday and they down the what went down in New Orleans? Yeah.
Yeah, and we want to say you know, rest in peace to all the people that lost their lives, those 10 to 15 individuals, man, and those who was injured in that massacre up there in New Orleans. I think it could have you know, brought a little bit of slight you know, of course disappointment, but they had this inert feeling going into the game. But did it make a difference? I would think not, simply because you know, again, if they'd have had the, you know, their players or some of their players who didn't play on the field, it could have made a difference. I don't want to take again nothing away from Notre Dame, because Notre Dame been playing solid defense like that really for the great majority of the entire year. But I think there was maybe had a little small remnant to do with it. But man, once they got around the 24 hours and did all of the security checks or what have you, you know, once you put them pads on, you know as well as I do, Blue, man, a lot of things, I don't care, man, you can have a bad relationship, whatever it is. When you put that pads on and helmet on, man, and walk out on that field, all that goes out the window. All I can do is focus on the task at hand.
Well, let me tell you this, though. When you said go out the window, to some people go out the window. Some will carry that burden onto the field with them. Listen, man, I was a no nonsense, man. Look here. I ain't know but one thing when it was time to play ball. Concentrate. That's all I ever thought about was concentrate and concentration. When that ball in the air, listen, man, I didn't see nothing. I didn't hear nothing. Everything was just real quiet and silent. Because I ain't got but one thing on my mind: catching that rock, man. That's all I ever believed in, catching that rock, man. So all this that's going on, all these distractions that's around you, never bothered me. I blocked all that out, man. I got a job to do.
And I think when you 18, 19, 20, 21 years of age, it's not a lot that's going to really affect you at that age when you're out there in the field. I don't think. Let
me say this to you. You see the statement you just made. So let me give you an example. At that age, and look, man, what I'm finna say, no disrespect. It affect everybody. Can't. Okay, let me give you an example. I'm gonna use Travis Hunter. All that was going on with him, he still went out on the field and performed. Everybody can't do that. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody can't block out. I don't even know if I could have blocked all that out, man. Did you talking about my old lady on social media? Then I'm up for the Heisman, and then this he got so much going on. Everybody ain't ready for that, man.
But I'll say this, and I can't think of. Well, I know I don't have anyone in mind when I say this that I can recall. I mean, this go all the way back from Rutherford was Little League all the way up.
What?
I walked out on the field with, or they expressed something prior to walking out on that field, or even the basketball court, and something dominated or occupied their mind so much to the point to where they couldn't perform or they underperformed. Now, I'm not saying that maybe I wasn't looking that close for it, but I can't recall, and I can only speak really about my own emotions. It's like, man, I just know for me, the love of the game, the love of the competition replaced all. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like when Michael Jackson said, I really don't know what I'm gonna do until I hit the stage. When I hit that stage, it's nothing else matters. As much as people talked about him and said this and all the tabloids and all that, nothing that matters when you in that zone. Just like Michael Jordan when he was going through his divorce or whatever. He said I had a lot going on, even when they played the Super Sonics. It was the first time him and his ex-wife now Juanita was going through the first separation or whatever. A lot of people couldn't really see that part of it, because he had something that he had a little bit more passion about. I think guys who really love the game, like a Travis Hunter, he really loves the game.
Love it.
For those 60 minutes, I just think the love is gonna supersede whatever you may have on your mind prior to going into that game. I've seen guys. Now, here's the thing, and some players I've seen or have heard anyway, they have lost a close one. I can't think of the player name who lost his mom or lost a father, and they was like, they would want me to play. And when I didn't play, had one of their best games.
Yeah.
Because they know that there was something that, they
Brett Favre. You remember Brett Favre's father passed away?
Yeah, I remember when Brett Favre. Yeah,
he did his thing, man.
Yeah.
See, let me tell you this, man. Everybody's different. And you got to be real strong mentally to block out everything, especially if you done lost a loved one. I don't know, man. I don't know if my mama passed or my father passed. I playing ball. I don't know, man. I don't know. That's hard for me. But Brett Favre and all these other guys go out there and perform at a real high level. Hats off to them. Cause listen, man, it takes a lot to block that out and to go out there and Brett Favre can play in a -2 and go out there and still perform and throw 3 or 4 touchdowns, man. It's all up here though.
Yep.
That's where it is right there, man.
Right. Like you said, some people minds they're mentally stronger than others. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can't recall, at least right now, anyone whom if I knew of something, they didn't show it, obviously, and maybe later on they, when we got wind of it, was like, wow, okay, that happened, but again, man, it's just the love of the game and the passion for the game. But again, Blue, we on the Final Four, man. So we got Texas and Ohio State, and we got Notre Dame and Penn State, and you got Ohio State taking it all.
Yes, sir.
And you gonna stick with that.
I'm a ride or die with it, man. I was impressed. I like what I like football, man. So don't do me like that, man.
I got you.
I like football. I won't Texas to win, but say, man, that pressure bust a pipe, man. Again, if you see a train catch a flat, call me.
Well, let me make sure. Like, I grew up an Oklahoma guy.
Me too.
Long before Ricky even signed with Oklahoma. I was Oklahoma back when Greg Pruitt. A lot of people don't remember Greg Pruitt, the running back for Cleveland Browns, when he finished second in the Heisman Trophy. That's how long I go back with Oklahoma. Then later on, they brought on Elvis Peacock and Thomas Lott and all them boys. But this go way back. And as long as Texas ain't playing Oklahoma, I'm rolling with them. But I'm not just rolling with them because they playing in the Cotton Bowl and they're a Texas team, the only last Texas team that's standing. I just think that sometimes, that wave that you're riding and you've played some of your best football, and it is about the team, the team that gets the hottest. It works on the NFL level, it works on the college level, whatever. But I would like to think. Now, I'm not a betting man, I'm not a gambling man. If I was, I wouldn't put my money on it. But I would like to think Texas is going to come in underdogs. I think with the adversity that they went through, I think that was a good thing. And the fact that Georgia, your nemesis of this season, is no longer in the picture, I think Texas is going to pull that game out against Ohio State, man.
Well, let me tell you, Texas got another fight on their hand, man. See, now ain't no tomorrow. Whoever, when the playoffs start, whoever go on a 3 or 4 game winning streak gonna win, man. We don't care about what you did in the past or you was 11-1. Don't know that, man. We want these last 3 or 4. Who can get hot and then who can go on a 3 or 4 game winning streak? That's what it's all about now, baby. And I'm going with Texas. I love y'all, but y'all discipline scares me. Y'all fatigue scares me. The quarterback, and you know what I'm saying.
You just
think how y'all let Arizona State get back to listen, man.
I ain't gonna put all my. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna put all my oranges in one hat with
You better not.
with Quinn Ewers myself. But
do you like him?
Do I like him?
Yeah.
I'll say it like this. I'm not gonna say that I don't like him, but I'm not gonna say that I like him because he's not one of those quarterbacks, man. That's a game changer. He's just all right to me. You know, he's a little bit, to be honest with you, man. He's a little bit lethargic in a lot of ways. It's like I don't know if he you know, I'm gonna tell you who he kind of put me in mind of. You remember what's the quarterback that had the real good arm in NFL, man, that went to Vanderbilt, played with he moved around a little. Oh man, I almost said his name.
Who he used to play for?
He used to play for the Chicago Bears, play for the I see his face clear as day, but he went to Vanderbilt, played for the Chicago Bears. Remember they was in the playoff one year. He went over there and started riding he was riding the bicycle. They was talking about that, man. He had a cannon of an arm. Why can I not think of this player, man?
How long ago was this?
He was number 6. And they said something about how he always looking really stoic.
Chicago ain't had nothing in so long. I don't know nothing about Chicago besides this cold up there, man.
Yeah,
and the quarterback they got now, that say he gonna need him a bunch of help, man. You know what I'm saying? They got him out there that they ain't been doing no bunch of winning. That's cause he ain't got no help. Surround build a squad around him, man, and take advantages of his strength. But again, you got to give him something he can work with. They say you can't play no hero ball in the NFL if you ain't got no help.
Right.
And you know in Chicago, you know how they is when you get the looting, you win, you go on a 2 or 3 game winning streak.
Right. Jay Cutler. Cutler.
Say, let me tell you something. You better leave Cutler alone. You cannot compare Cutler. You don't mean that.
Hey, you don't think
Jay Cutler retired. They came and got him out of retirement and brought him back. Listen, say, man, they had a rifle. I love Jake. Don't do that, man.
No one questioning his talent.
But he had a bunch of talent.
How stoic he used to be. I used to think they say he had it was something that
he was nonchalant to me.
That's what I'm saying about it. That's all I'm talking about. I mean, Jay Cutler had crazy arm talent, man.
Yes,
he had one of the best arms. He was like, he was like Jeff George. You know, Jeff George led I drafted in 1990, man. When the coach drafted Jeff George, had all that arm talent. But Jay
you didn't
Cutler
like Jeff George?
Huh?
You didn't like Jeff George?
No. I like Jeff George. I'm saying he had crazy arm talent too.
Oh yeah,
but he wasn't. But Jeff George wasn't. He wasn't as stoic as Jay Cutler. But they said Jay Cutler had something like a anemia. He was anemic or something. That's why sometimes his eyes used to look pale or what have you. They say he was anemic or something. I don't know how true that was.
Let me tell you about Jay Cutler. I used to look at the expression on his face and get the impression. He left me with he didn't curl. Not that he didn't curl, but the look on his face. Say, man, it speaks volume.
Yeah.
He never got too high. He never got too low. He just stayed right there where he was.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, no one,
Jay
like I said, no one was questioning the talent. You know, I don't question the arm talent, man, but he just was, you know, you want to know, man, do he feel like playing today? I mean, what's going on with him? And sometimes I get that from Quinn Ewers, man. Like,
really?
Yeah, I get that from Quinn Ewers. I do. I mean, because it's like right now, you know, they was questioning whether or not if he was going to leave Texas and go take the $6 million. They were talking about giving him like $3 to $6 million, whatever it was, the NIL money, which, you know, that's on the table, and you definitely have to strongly consider it because nothing is guaranteed at the next level. It's just not.
Well, let me tell you this, man. It's so many guys. I'm trying to figure this out. Is it officially a business now?
Oh, yeah, it's a business.
Listen, man, these guys is leaving school, and it ain't no secret. They going where they gonna get paid.
Yeah, I mean, that's why they call it semi-pro. I mean, let me say that. Let me take that back. They're not calling semi-pro. They're trying to stay away from that language as much as possible, but that's what it is, a semi-pro. And the reason why is because you have the NIL that's involved right now, and you got a playoff system now. So that's just exactly what it is. It's not that much different when you start trying to rank the best 12 teams to make the playoffs. You're talking about as it come down to the last, like where we are now, the last Final Four, and then eventually the last finals. You're taking the 12 best teams, so you're not playing these powder puffs, so to speak. If they're doing it the right way, you're not playing these other teams who are powder puff teams. Yeah. You're trying to take the best 12, right? Yeah. And you extending play because they're playing past 12 and 13 games, right? So these are the things you got to consider. The issue becomes now, do you want to unionize it? Because once you unionize it, now you're going to have to start, you're going to have to start looking at it from a pay scale now. Because everybody going to have to be, because everybody's in the union, everybody's playing. Now you're talking about contracts, which I'm not too distance from the contract aspect of it, because every time we signed that college scholarship, that series of 1 years, that was a contract. Whether we want to call it that or not, we said scholarship, but it was a contract. That's exactly what it was. They can give it to you and they can take it away because it was a series of 1 year, man. That's exactly what it was. So, I just think I think at some point they're gonna have to put some parameters. I'm all for players getting their money, man, and the name, image, and like, and being compensated. I just think they're gonna have to somehow with the portal. They're gonna have to put some parameters in it, govern it a little better, because these kids are jumping in the portal and they're getting stuck in that portal. And not a lot of them. Well, you just probably heard about the Florida State players who filed a lawsuit against the coach because they didn't get their money. Did you hear about that?
No, I ain't heard about that one.
Yeah. You ought to research that when you get a chance. Yeah, they got, I guess it's like 5 players, if I'm not mistaken. They filed a lawsuit against the coach from Florida State. And so, the AD came out saying we're not aware of any, players that was old, man. So many words that we supposed to pay, whatever the case may be. But they're going into the transfer portal, man, and they're getting stuck in the transfer portal.
Let me say this to you. Did you hear about Miami coach said he talked to all his players and everybody was happy and excited. He said a few hours later, he got an email that 7 or 8 of them already going to the transfer portal. He said he said he was thinking about resigning because, man, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
If I recruit a kid, I'm recruiting him I'm really recruiting you for 4 years, but these kids not staying. So you stay a year and then I'm losing you because or somebody else want to pay you, there's no more loyalty.
Right.
You can't get camaraderie. You can't even get to know the staff. You can't even get to know your teammates because you one and done. You go to another college. And let me tell you something. When you get in the transfer portal, when we was coming up, if you transferred, you had to sit out a year.
Right.
Man, look how many guys I'm seeing playing 6 years of college football. I'd have been a better athlete if I played 6 years.
Right.
I think if you played 6 years, you'd have been, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Hey, man, they got these kids spoiled, man.
Yeah. That's why I said they're gonna have to put some
they will.
They're gonna have to govern it some kind of way, because you spend that's a lot of recruiting hours going inside these parents' home and them driving those cars and air flights and all that stuff, and you get a kid, and which is one of the reasons why Nick Saban, man, he saw this thing coming. He was like, man, I'm too old for this. I can't.
Yeah,
because he saw it coming. Time and energy, man. Yeah, he saw it coming, and I do think that they're gonna put some parameters in place at some point, because they have to. Because again, some of these kids are not making very good sound decisions. And
hey, man, these kids, let me tell you something about these kids. These kids trying to get paid, man. That's how they could. I mean, I can't speak for them, but the ultimate goal is everybody trying to get paid, whether it's the NIL or at the next level. But since NIL is gonna pay you, I want mine too. My family needs some help, or I got a family, I got a kid to raise. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I look back, man. Do you remember when O'Bannon used to play for UCLA? Him and his brother.
Yeah.
He was the first one that challenged the college system about they should get paid, cause back when we was coming up, their names was on the back of the jerseys, and look who was getting all the money. Look who was getting paid, and he fought and fought and fought. Look where we are today.
Yeah, well, you know something, and I'll pick it back off of that though, Blue. You know, I always say, if you knew back then, you know what you know now, and me
Yeah,
understanding contract law and not having that information that was present to me back then, man. If I did know back then what I know now, I would have challenged it because you know when you don't have that information, you just 18, 19 years old, and you just trying to get out of the hood for, you know what I'm saying, and make your mom and your parents proud. You don't really know how to approach that. But when I became older and started running my own company, my own businesses, and man, understanding contracts, that
yeah,
was like no brainer to me. Like how I'm surprised that the individuals who came way before us back in the 70s, even before our time, back in the 60s and the 70s. Of course, we know the civil rights movement, they was just transitioning, happy to be in at that time, because you got a lot of players that went to the HBCUs, the Grambling, the Mississippi Valley States, and so on and so forth. But as time started to move out through the 80s, see, we wasn't really, you know, still, you know, financially literate, right? So some of those things that should have been brought to the forefront wasn't. But I wish that it had been, because if they would have paid the way back in the 70s, the Billy Sims, you know, the Ross Browners, you know, the Leroy Salmons, whatever the case may be, the Doug Williams, then it would have made it easier for us to be able to say, hey man, you know, that this is a contract I'm signing. Y'all keep trying to disguise it under amateur athletics and a scholarship and
that's
blah
what
blah
they
blah
did.
blah. You
Yeah,
know,
that's what they
yeah,
did.
yeah, that's exactly what they did. But see, they got away with it as long as they could, kind of just like slavery, brother. Just like slavery. They got away with it as long as they could because it was why? Free labor. And they
Yeah,
knew back then they was building the brand from whether it went from a million, multi-millions of dollars to $1 billion industry, multi-billions of dollars. So that's where we are today, which again, I don't have a problem in the kids getting paid. I just don't want to see this thing blow up in such a way to where now it starts to affect not only one organization, but it starts to affect the kids as a whole. And that's why they got to put some type of sliding scale or
well,
parameters.
let me say this to you. When you give a kid that kind of money as a freshman, right? And then as a sophomore, but keep in mind you still performing at a top level, you don't want to go to the pros. What you gonna go for when you can sit and play college ball for 2 or 3 years and get a bunch of paper? And a bunch of paper, then after a while, you'll be like, I don't even want to go to the pro. Now, not unless you got a love for the game, not unless you hungry for football. But how can you tell who hungry for football and who chasing the bag?
Well,
Travis Hunter is a football player.
yeah,
He
yeah,
hungry for that thing. He ain't just chasing no bag, man. This kid is a real, true dog when it comes to playing football.
I agree.
Everybody ain't like that, man. Everybody trying to get paid. Let me tell you something, man. They should have. I'm NIL material, man. When I played at PVU,
Yeah,
listen, man. Everybody want to get paid. Man, they
yeah,
just passed. Man, they passed. Man, let me tell you something, man. I just hope everything work out for the best, but I still want our kids to get paid. Because let me tell you
mhm,
something. Just think about the kids when we was coming up that had a promising career, and then they had a couple of knee injuries, and then they threw. They don't even get
mhm,
to go to the league. They didn't have no NIL money. See that
right.
NIL money, if you get a real bad injury where you can't play no more or play for a while, you can that NIL money hold you up for a little bit.
Yeah,
Because you signed
yeah,
a contract with the NIL. That's what that
yeah.
is, man.
And I'll be honest with you, you know, any contract can have clauses in it, right? They can have stipulations and
Right.
contingencies, right? I feel like, man, now one brother I was talking to who played at the University of Tennessee back in the day, he said that their academic counselors told them that they could come back and complete their degree plan. But I said, well, well, Tennessee must have been the exception, because I never got that from the University of Texas El Paso, UTEP. I said, I
But
think it should be in the contract. I don't care if you're 40 years of age and you decide to go back. If you contributed something to that program, like I know I put my blood, sweat, and tears out there in Sun Bowl Stadium. I was one of the starters on the most winningest team in the university's history. That's the record still stands to this day, right?
right.
So I don't care if, you know, I'm 40, 50, 60 years old. If I want to go back and complete a master's degree, I should have that opportunity to be able to do that. That's one of the things I feel like they should put in the contract. The reason why I'm saying it like that is because most of your 17 to 22-year-olds, man, they get caught up in the college life. They're leaving mom's home, man. They don't really know. So they might even waste their first couple of years because they go into the parties and they're not used to getting themselves up on their own, and they got to adjust. So that first year, you may wind up being on academic probation, man. And things happen. So they need to make those kind of things available for these young people, man. And that's why I said I don't have a problem again with these individuals being paid. They just got to, put some parameters in there that's going to allow this thing to affect everybody, but definitely the players.
Let me say this to you. When when a recruiter comes to your house, why he got to start talking about recruiting is different nowadays. You got to start talking about finances and NIL now when you go recruit. That's got to be brought up. You know what I'm saying?
They're gonna that's off the muscle, man. They want to know, like even with Deion's situation, man. He said he got kids. You look in their eyes and they're getting ready to leave. They when you look at them, all of a sudden they look down. they see you coming down the hallway. He said, I already know they're getting ready to leave. Like the linebacker Hill, number 41, who had a good year. He wound up going to jumping the portal, going to Alabama. But but Prime say, hey man, we built for this because we was doing this when we was coaching Pop Warner. That's what you do. You go steal a kid. We did it all through Pop Warner.
We've been doing it all our life. We know about it.
Busing across the city and everything else. So he said they built for it. So but like I say, it's a lot on the horizon. I think in college football. This is the first year of the 12 team playoff.
I like the playoff system.
Yeah, I like it. I definitely like it.
But that layoff is too long, man. That layoff, that's way too long. And then let me tell you something. They stopped playing football in the middle of November? Man, it'll be the middle of January before we find out who the national champ is.
Yeah, I think January the 20th.
That's cold, man. That's a long time. And then after that, you got to go right into spring training.
Right. Well, let's transition, Blue, right quick. We got about 15 minutes left on the show, man. I got to get to this right here, man. I want to cover this NFL season that's coming to a close last week, and we talked about it briefly off the air, but we're here talking about, right now with the Saquon Barkley situation. Of course, I wished I probably would have put some of the videos up just for those who may not have a chance to see one who I consider to be the greatest runner with a football in his hand, Mr. Eric Dickerson. His record is being threatened to be broken. Even though I said if he break it, you still got to put an asterisk mark by it.
Why is that?
You got to put an asterisk mark because Tricky Dick did it in 16 games. He did it in 6. Nobody's really seeming to say. Listen, I'm not saying the record. He got it. Okay, but you got to put an asterisk mark by it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, but let me say, when you put an asterisk by it, what that mean? It's a story behind it.
It's a story behind it. You know what an asterisk means? It means when you see, if you only give me fraction of the story, the next generation that come along 10, 15, 20 years later, they'll feel like, well, who the all-time single leading, rusher in NFL history? Oh, Saquon Barkley. If you don't put the asterisk mark behind, you'll think he broke it at the same time Eric Dickerson did. And I keep telling people, I've seen a lot of runners, with the exception, I had to go back to the video like everybody else, the highlights of Jim Brown and Jim Brown is still one of my top 5, maybe top 7, 8 backs now. But I'm just talking about, I'm talking about blocking. I'm not talking about catching out the backfield. I'm talking about simply turning around, handing a guy football. The best run I've seen, Eric Dickerson, man. On the pace he was about to do, on the pace, had he not got into the contract, the dispute with the Los Angeles Rams, he had Big Jacket Slater in them, Blue. Come on, you know what I'm talking about.
I know you're talking about.
SMU all the way from Pony Express, number 19 to 29, is the best runner that I've seen. And if he had not, they said if he had not been traded and had that contract dispute, the pace that he was on, he was going to eclipse Jim Brown record and Walter Payton record, man. He would have eclipsed that, like they said, within the first 10 years. Easy.
Let me say this, man. Big, Eric Dickerson, they talk Eric Dickerson, ain't nobody gonna break it. The only reason it ain't gonna be broke is because they gonna sit him, and that I don't like that, man.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask you. Hold on for a second. I want to ask you that.
Go ahead.
Do you think he should play to go ahead and break it in
17
play,
man. I'm for old school, man. I'm old school. Listen, man, turn around and give it to him. Feed him to it. Listen, man, this dude done came. First of all, man, you got to understand this. The team that traded him is the team he was going to break the record on, the Giants. The Giants had talked about him so bad and gave up on him, but look what he turned around and do. And then the coaches was like, we going to sit him. For what? Oh, he ain't that interested. Well, make him interested in breaking him. Say, man, you're going down in history, man. Everybody can't go down in history. And whether you put an asterisk by his name or not, he would have broke that record, man. He'd have got 100 yards on him. He'd have got 100.
You know what? I wouldn't disagree and say that he wouldn't have. But my thing is simply this, Blue. You know, we know this is football is one of those games where, you know, it's the only game where they say where you can assault a person, man, and not be arrested, right? And we know even they say any given Sunday, any given play, or any given play. Now he already put that work in against the Giants when they played him the first time to let them know they made a mistake. You gave the money to the quarterback Daniel Jones, who's no longer even there. So the GM, all of them need to be fired.
They're gonna be gone.
So he already got over 2,000 yards in rushing. And as much as I wouldn't have, if anybody was gonna break the record since they left my boy Adrian Peterson about 8 yards short or whatever, they didn't even tell him, which would have been great for me because it would have been 2 Texas boys that held the record. But if anybody outside of them, I would have wanted to have been Saquon Barkley because of the character and the person that he is. But I just think the risk is so high. I mean, I get what people saying. I get it. But I can tell you this right now. You're going to have your detractors. If he were to go out there and let's just say the Giants load the box. They don't care about you beating him in the past, but they just don't want him to get that record, right? And he's fighting to get that extra yard too, whatever. All of a sudden, boom, high ankle sprain.
Well, I'm going to take a chance, man. He done came too far, man. Say, man, let me tell you something. Don't get to the door and don't open it. He at the door. Do he need to kick it in? Or you going to let him in? He done came too far, man. And then I understand that he risking getting injured. Well, he risked getting injured 16 or 17 weeks ago. And when you say loading the box, they've been loading the box for 16 or 17 weeks. So it ain't nothing new to him.
Okay, well, look at it from this angle then. You know, he could have had, if he'd have put that work in when they took him out a few games early in the season, maybe week 5, he could have, you know, think about that back then. Now in the last game, you got 101 yards to get. Now, if I was a betting man, I bet that he would get it. You know what I'm saying? If he was really going off the record. But I think the bigger picture, it's a long season. If he can rest his body up to go into the playoffs, to go for the bigger goal, and even though I know that's no guarantee, like the record ain't no guarantee, even though I hear what you're saying. The record is not a guarantee, Blue. The record is not a guarantee, though.
Well, guess what?
But the odds in his favor now.
Yeah,
I mean, it's high, but it ain't guaranteed.
Well, let me tell you this though. If you was the coach, would you let him play this weekend?
Man, you know what? Honestly and truthfully, I would have to think about the team, but I would have a conversation with. If the kid showed me that he was really passionate, that he want to go do this, and it's obviously to me, he must not want the record as bad.
He and I already talked to him. Man, his family and all that, man, because they talking about they gonna sit him. Because at first he was like, nah, you know, we good.
It was really up to Nick Sirianni if they, you know, because he was either or. He was like, whatever the coach decision want to be. His family want to see him get it.
Me too. I want to see him get it.
But check this
out.
Just
too hard, man. He might not never get that chance again, man.
Well, you know, check this out. Just like Barry Sanders, man. You know, a lot of people
don't do
why
that.
Barry left the game. Barry's right there to break the record and all this. And Barry just was never a records guy. You know what I'm saying? He never prided himself.
Barry Sanders. Ain't no more Barry Sanders.
And I think looking at the bigger picture again, it'll be a tough call. I wouldn't have a problem. I would sit him down and he really said, Coach, I really want to get this record. I may lean his way, but obviously he's not being assertive like that. He's not telling Nick Sirianni, I really want to go for this record, Coach, because I believe if he was that assertive, then you got to consider this. They talking about some of his linemen like Lane Johnson, them not playing in that game. They want them to rest up. So what you do with a second string? You gonna go out there still?
Next man up.
I can't do that. No, baby.
Let me tell you this though. Let me tell you this though,
I ain't doing that one though.
I'm not gonna deprive this man for once in a lifetime accomplishment, man. I'm not gonna deprive him of that. I don't want you to go home, with the attitude, man, coach didn't let me play, man. I'll probably never get 2,000 yards. Listen, this man is human, man. And he got feelings, man.
So you say, so you actually saying as a head coach. So you got to think about as a head coach, you're not just his head coach, you're his confidant. You're his, the person
that's fine.
So if you saying, are you saying that without his starting line, that you still
can get it? Yeah.
Because you see, I'm gonna tell you something.
Okay,
Giants,
so now you're telling me.
Wait a minute. The Giants won last week. Hold on.
By time.
Hold on. Now there's another X factor in all of this. These dudes might suit up and say, "Man, we ain't going nowhere. We ain't got nothing to play for. We ain't got nothing to lose."
They've been doing it for 16. They've been doing it for 16 or 17 weeks. They've been loading up that box for 16 or 17 weeks, man.
All it takes is 1 week. I'm gonna tell you something. You know what? We won my freshman year. My freshman year at UTEL, we won one game. One game. You can look it up. 1984 season. You can look it up.
Which?
And not 1985, fall of 85, when I was there. The one game we won, we played the defending national champions BYU in the Sun Bowl. And we upset them jokers and then win another game the entire year. One game, right? And we were just we went into the game loose. We didn't have nothing else to, it was one of those deals. The same way when we went and beat Highland Park my senior year in Highland Park, you did. And we didn't have nothing to lose. So
yeah.
I'm just telling you. And we went out there banging them boys. So I'm just telling you now, if the Giants come in there like, okay, you want the record? You already served us early in the year. We ain't got nothing to lose. You know how some team, they knock out some team playoff, they go into the playoff, but the team knock them out the playoff or whatever. It's like, this is our Super Bowl. I wouldn't give them dudes a chance, bro. Especially without my starting line, I'm not giving them a chance. I just can't do it. Not without my starting line, Blue.
So you telling me no guys that played on the second team started no games this year at line. I'm pretty sure some of them did. I just got that kind of faith in Saquon Barkley, man. He done came too far, man.
All right,
came a long way, man. I'm telling you, man.
Okay, we're gonna agree to disagree on that. The stakes are too high.
And let me tell you something too, man. When you get tired, man, you make sure we get a chance. You do a segment on HBCUs, man, so we can talk about PVU, man.
Yeah. We got to do that. We got to do that.
You bypass that HBCU, man. That's the future, man.
Right on. Well, look at Blue. We got only 2 minutes coming up on the show, man. I want you to give a shout out, man, to somebody, man, that was an inspiration, man. When he came out of Marshall, man, he find out he was going through some things, man. Who that player is, man, you want to shout out?
Randy Moss, man. Let me tell you something about Randy Moss. I don't want to talk about his athletic skills and his athletic career. I want to talk about him as a man, as a person. Listen, man, when I found out that he was going through, all I could do was pray for him. The only thing I knew, I saw his eyes, and then he said he was going through something. Listen, man, if what he got, money could cure it, then he'll be cured because he got the money. Listen, man, all he needs is prayer. Constant prayer, because God will allow him to endure. You dig what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Listen, man, I just ask everybody that's listening, man, please pray for Randy Moss, man. Take time out and pray for him and his family. Because what he's going through, I wouldn't wish that on nobody. He got some kind of cancer. I heard it was between the liver and the pancreas, and he had jaundice in his eyes.
Yeah.
So we're going to give a shout out to Randy Moss, man.
No doubt, man. Well, that's going to conclude our show, man, on the Replay Sports Show, the Replay, where we still trying to make your day. I've been your host, your real deal, Jabril, along with my main man, True Blue 82. From PV, one of PV finest, man. I want to thank y'all for hopping on with me. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, share, notification button. And we're going to be back at you real soon and see if Blue prediction hold true with Ohio State. All right, we're gonna
Yes,
catch
sir.
y'all in a minute. Peace and love. This has been the replay.
Already. Peace.